everybody go ahead. Well, you don't need to have your religion book open just yet. Well, I guess you can. What is a king? Victoria.
A ruler over a place.
So it's a person who governs or rules.
Yeah.
Let's think about kings. Take a second and think of some qualities of a good king and a bad king. Zari?
A bad king would take all your money.
Okay. Carla?
A good king will help the poor.
Smith?
A bad king will only think about himself.
So selfish. Michaela?
A good king would make everything fair.
Aaron?
A bad king would have slaves.
Victoria?
A good king would give food.
Ethan?
A bad king would execute innocent people.
Zari?
For a good king, he would make sure everyone's okay.
So cares about people. Carla?
A good king will give money.
Zadie?
A good king would support causes that are needed.
Colin?
The bad king will take your food.
It kind of goes with takes money, so takes things. Ethan?
A bad king would destroy another country.
We'll call them other kingdoms. A couple more. Victoria?
A bad king would not allow religious
Lena?
A good king would help other kingdoms.
Zadie? Two more. So Zadie and then I'll pick a stick for the last one.
A bad king would lie.
And I'll pick a stick for another. So if you have one, put your hand up. Lena?
He does not tell lies.
Honest. We'll say is honest. What about listening to others? Would that be the quality of a good king or a bad king? Carla?
Listening to others is a good thing.
That's a good king. Do good kings just do whatever they want? Or is that a bad king? Mason? Bad king. Very good. So, a king who is selfish. Is this in your book? Yes. Oh. Okay, this is in your book. Sorry. So now, go ahead and look at page 81. This teacher's manual is the worst. We're going back to the old book next year. Okay. Zari, please read on page 81.
What is a king? A king is the one who governs or rules. A good king is just, fair, kind, self-controlled, unselfish, and considered
Concerned.
concerned about the people he rules.
So we had a lot of those. Just means the same thing as fair. We had a kind, that would be cares about people. Self-controlled. We don't really have that, but that's something we can add. That means that a good king doesn't get angry and react and punish others. A good king gets angry but stops and thinks, how would my anger affect others? Let me keep it in. Unselfish, we had helps the poor, helps other kingdoms, supports good causes, cares about people, and concerned about the people he rules. Okay? Colin, read next.
A king who was selfish would not be kind to or concerned about the people he ruled. He would not care if the people had food and shelter or if they were poor or sick.
So bad kings only care about what? They don't care about people. They only care about what? Michaela? Themselves. And having what? Zadie? Money. Or Victoria? Power. Remember, power. We talked about that. That is one of the biggest things that causes us to sin, is wanting power. What was the whole reason that Adam and Eve committed that very first sin? Lena?
Because they wanted power like God did.
They wanted the power that God had. Money means power in our world. So wanting money really means you want power. Yes?
A bad thing is kingdom.
Good, because we're going to come up with that. So that's keep that in your head. Very good. Because we're actually going to write about that. But it'll be different depending on the person. But you'll be able to follow the book directions. So good. Think about that. He said Kim Jong-un is a bad leader. If you don't know who that is, that's okay. He's the leader of North Korea. He's the dictator of North Korea. Because a dictator is someone who says, what I say goes. So is a dictator a good king or a bad king? Carla?
A bad king.
A bad king. Okay, so a bad king, a good king cares about others. A bad king only cares about themselves and wanting power. Carla, please read next.
A king who did not control his emotion will not be just or fair. His feelings will affect his action. For example, if he had made an important decision or ruling when he was angry, the decision or ruling might not be a good one and might hurt the country and the people we rule.
So say a king got into a car accident because somebody ran a red light. And he was really, really angry. And so he said, anyone who runs a red light will be executed because he's mad. Is that what a good king would do? Is that showing self-control? Or is that just him being angry and making a decision? Zadie?
That's just him being angry.
Very good. So a good king has self-control. They think, well, that made me angry. But you know what? That person, yeah, they did something that wasn't right. But do they deserve to be executed? No. Do they deserve to go to jail for 50 years? No. Do they deserve a ticket and have to pay a fine? Yes. Aaron, do you have a comment on that?
I was gonna say that they shouldn't be executed. A good king would just give them a warning.
Yes, a good king would just give them a warning or a fine or a ticket. Or if they do it over and over again, then maybe put them in jail for a couple days. Carla?
I know another person, and he's a good king, and it's King Simon.
Okay. Well, we'll think about that in a little bit, okay? Because right now, what I want you to do is look at the first box. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. Now, listen to the directions, but don't immediately think, oh my gosh, I have no idea. Because I'll tell you what to do if you're not sure. The directions say, think of a king or leader who did not rule a country well. It doesn't have to be a king, it could be a leader. Like, I'll give you some suggestions. Did some of the decisions made by the king or leader hurt the country and the people in the country? In the spaces below, write about a king or a leader who did not rule well. So people like Kim Jong-un, Hitler. Who else would be a bad one that you guys would know about? Anybody else have a good example of a bad king? I'm trying to think of, like, it can be not a real story too. It can be a made-up story.
What about a bad president?
It can be a bad president, but yes. Victoria. Yes.
So, even just a bad president. It's not
We haven't really had bad presidents in the way that Hitler was bad or Kim Jong-un is bad. If you can't think of a leader like in a book or in real life, then you can think of what might a bad leader cause in the country where they rule or for the people that they rule. What could happen? So if you know of an actual bad leader, then you can write about that. If you do not know about a bad leader, think what could a bad leader cause in the country or for the people that they rule. Mason, quickly.
In China, they used to have like a leader that said you can only have like one child.
Yes, that was a bad leader too, because think about it. Just think of things like that, but make sure you know their name. I don't remember the name, but yes. But if you know the name, yes. And do not choose a recent president because we have not had somebody so bad that they killed people, okay? So think of historical leaders like Hitler, or current leaders who are really bad and have literally killed people, and we can prove it, like Kim Jong-un, or somebody from a book or a movie that you saw. Huh? Because the country that he lives in is very poor and isolated. And because he says, we don't know if it's true, but he says that he has nuclear weapons, which a nuclear bomb would cause a lot more trouble than a regular bomb because the chemicals in it make it a lot worse. Yes. Carla.
If we don't have any real person, but we do have an imaginary person, then
Yes. So if you can't think of a real person, that's okay. If you know who one of the people I mentioned is, you can use them. Zari, make sure you're listening. If you do not know who I'm talking about, when I say Adolf Hitler or Kim Jong-un, or you don't know another one from a movie or a TV show or a book, then think, what could a bad leader cause in the country that they ruled or for the people that they ruled? Go ahead and do that. You have 5 minutes. Ethan, go ahead and share. What would happen? What did you choose to write about? Loud, loud, loud.
It will cause badness into a country, and the people will try to kill it.
They might. They might try to fight back and that has happened in history, and it just caused all kinds of problems. Victoria.
You want to read all of it?
Sure.
A bad leader takes money from people. I said stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'll just say how people are. The people would become poor. The people would have to be slaves for no reason, and they didn't have enough time to pray to God or pray at all. And then they would believe the lies that the leader told.
Good. That is a big problem, that people start to believe the lies that bad leaders tell them. Lena? Blah, blah, blah.
They might make you slaves, and you might be dehydrated, and you might have to work in the hot sun, and they might whip you, and you may have no food, and you may just die there.
Okay. Carla?
A bad king effects will make it where there's less people there to live.
Very good. There's less people, because if they're getting rid of all the people that they don't agree with, who's left to pay their taxes, to follow them? Zadie?
Mine is made up because I couldn't think of a real one. So I remember this episode I watched. Plankton from Bikini Bottom, when he ruled in Bikini Bottom, he slaved all the people there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if it kept happening, they would have died from hunger.
That's true. Good one. Aaron?
A bad leader will kill innocent people, and people will be forced to do what they don't want to do.
Okay, good. Anybody else want to share? Okay. Read next. Victoria. Loudly.
A good king governs himself first by controlling his emotions, desires, and actions. A good king respects, cares for, and is concerned about the people he rules. He uses the things of the earth to provide for the needs of his people.
So, good. A good king does these things. Now we're going to do the same thing as we did before, but this time we're going to do it about a good king. So listen to the directions while I read them out loud. Think of a king or leader who ruled a country well. Did the decisions made by the king or leader help and show concern for the country and the people in the country? In the space below, write about a king or a leader who ruled well. So think of somebody either in real life or in a book or a movie or a story that you've read. Calm down, think. And answer that question. Did the decisions made by that king or leader in real life or in fiction help and show concern for the country and the people in the country? So now think of a good leader. You all either know of one in real life, or you've read a book or a movie or seen a movie or a TV show where there was a good leader. Write about that good leader. Don't just tell me what they do, because we already listed that, but tell what effect does that have on the people in the place where they rule. Now that's not just a king, it could be anybody. So go ahead, you're going to have 5 minutes to do that. Yes, Zari.
What if I don't?
Huh?
What if I don't?
What do you mean, what if you don't?
What if I don't know a king or a leader?
You've seen movies, you've read a book that has a leader. So think about that. You've watched TV where there's a good leader. Zadie thought of a bad leader from SpongeBob. So if SpongeBob has an example of a bad leader, you've definitely read a book or a movie or seen a TV show that had a good leader. So write about it. If you can't think of one, well, you're not really thinking hard, but think, what effect would a good leader have on the place where they rule? You have to think. This is not supposed to just come to you. Please put your hands down, think, and write. And who would like to share what they wrote about a good leader? Put your hand up if you'd like to share. Ethan? Loud, 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 so we can all hear you.
Dr. Martin Luther King fought a congressional response to stop
I didn't quite hear the end, but good. Yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a very good leader. He wasn't a president or anything like that, but he led people in a way that helped the poor. He wanted things to be fair. He definitely cared about people. He supported a good cause, civil rights. He didn't help other kingdoms, but he helped other groups of people. He was honest, and he showed self-control. Things made him angry, but he did not fight back. Carla.
This is from a movie called King Salmon. It's
Okay.
actually the name of the king,
Okay.
son.
Mm-hmm.
And King Salmon asked someone, can he please stop for two times, and he didn't listen. So he asked him, can you please go out for a minute and learn what affect the other people around you.
Okay.
Then the man was trying to learn,
Uh-huh.
go somewhere else and summon like a demon. I don't remember his name, but the demon had a name.
Uh-huh.
And he told the demon, can he please go destroy his kingdom? But King Salmon, because there were statues of animals,
Uh-huh.
and there was animals coming around him, and he used the power with the animals to
Okay.
stop the demon, and he did.
Okay, very good. We have time for one more person. So keep your hand up if you want to share. Lena?
I'm just gonna read.
Okay, loudly so we can all hear.
A good king would make the country happy, have non-poor people or not a lot of poor people, and lots of people living there. People would want to stay in the country, and people would want to move to the country for a better experience in life. The country would be healthy looking, for example, no trash on the ground, a clean lake or a clean ocean or a lake.
Very good. These are some good responses. And I saw some people with good responses that didn't raise their hand, and I don't know why. Okay, very good. Feet down. So, what does all of that, a good king and a bad king, have to do with Jesus? Well, what is Jesus? Aaron? A king of where? Victoria? Heaven and earth. He is the king of heaven and earth. So, to end the lesson today, after Adam and Eve sinned, they committed that first sin, they found it really hard. Guys, sit up. Make sure you're listening. Mason, I don't know why you have that out. Please put it away and scoot your chair in. After they sinned, they found it really hard to show truth and love through their actions. They had a really hard time. It wasn't easy for them anymore like it had been. They needed someone to show them truth and love. Sorry, please turn your camera on. They needed someone to show them that truth and love, and they needed someone to show them how to show others that truth and love through their actions. God allowed people of Israel to have kings to show them how to do God's will. So back then, there were kings of Israel, and they showed their people not only how to They didn't only just do this, they also taught how to act as an image of God, as a person created in the image of God. Some of them were really good, but some of them weren't. So if you think of your Bible stories, King Saul forgot about God. He did not control his emotions, and he didn't do God's will. He was selfish. He only cared about himself and power, and he forgot all about what he had been sent there by God to do. King David was a good king. He controlled his emotions. He did not act out of anger or sadness. But sometimes he did, because he was a human being. We're all human, right? Sometimes we act out of anger. Sometimes we can't control our emotions. King David was the same way. However, when he realized that, he stopped. He asked for forgiveness and mercy, and he taught others how to do the same thing. He made it public. He didn't hide his mistakes. He showed everybody else, I made this mistake. This is how you should act. Okay. Let's see. That's it for religion. Go ahead and close your books and get out social studies.